So I'd like to have Dr. Priyanka elaborate more from her experiences, since she has been a practitioner, a physician, a founder, and and captain of the ship, because you are a founder. So, Dr. Priyanka, you would always have to make those choices. How much do you look for performance and convenience, while also finding the balance, making sure that things remain ethical. So how do you manage, as a founder, this whole minefield of data, while remaining ethical, while making sure that your team remains ethical and makes the right choices, while you have to also compete with the best of the best in terms of the convenience or the value that you have to create for your customers?
Right. And I see all these healthcare readers and the current panel hooting for AI. We all are hooting for AI, right? Let it be AI, generative AI now. But I always put it in an analog as a discovery of fire. AI has huge capabilities and capacities. It's really a transformative power. But again, it's a fire we are holding. So we need to really be very cautious, holding, using it, because it can be very, very useful. And in the wrong hands, it can be very destructive. And that's where I think in the healthcare, more than in any other industry, it will be directly would be impacting, you know, uh, patients, the lives, the caregivers. It will be impacting the society directly. And I think with that, I mean, the ethics are really important, ethical AI. Now, talking about how, as civilians or as any professional, we behave, because we have laws, orders, and regulations around us that keep track. Let's say this way, right? Keep, Similarly, in AI, I think we need those strict safeguards around, right? The regulations to define the ethics of it. Still, we do not have a very well defined definition what this ethics to be in AI. And one big reason about it is the people who are, and I think I believe David talked about it, the people who are defining the regulations, or in the government or in the officials, they fully do not understand what we are dealing with, right? I would say none of us do it, but on the very top, the people who are very non-technical, sitting at the power, do not understand it. Now, if you do not understand something, it's really hard to put regulations, rules to it. Similar, like, for example, in medicine, when any drug comes out, it comes with do's and don'ts, what precautions to take, when to take it, how to take it. That is defined by the healthcare professionals. It's not defined by the person who's packaging the drugs, right? So similarly, I think that's where the AI right now is, our ethic part in AI is very the area where I think we all should focus, not just about making it smarter, but hey, let's take a little, I would say a little pause, and it's like, okay, let's define what we have created and the future can hold. And in the ethics, I think most of us have covered. It's very important, the transparency. Let not it be a black box. The privacy part we have talked about. One thing is about the consent. I think the consent of the patient, it has to be very explicit, very clear, what this is for, where this data will be used for or shared for. I think it has to be in a layman term. The consent should be taken. And I think one more thing I would say, which in the technology that comes specifically with AI, is it has to have that explainable, and I would say interpretable by the common people. They can understand it, and they can interpret what you're saying. So that's another thing I think can be a part of ethical consideration. And one thing I would end it with as a call to action for everyone is like, let's get involved. I think one of us mentioned that it cannot be one organization that can change it, right? It is a collective effort. Similarly, we need to get feedback. Parul mentioned we need to get feedback of the stakeholders that will be using it. And there are so many stakeholders when it comes to in healthcare. It is the doctors, it's the other healthcare professionals within the system, it's the patients, the caregivers. There's so many stakeholders. They all have to put the dialogues, they have to be involved, and the feedback need to be taken to design something which can be used for them, because patient is at the center of the heart in the healthcare, and we are all shaping things in order to be used for the betterment of the patient than the healthcare system. So I think that's where the ethical AI needs to be still more well defined. We're still not there. We need to work on it, and that's my fear every day as a founder running an organization with the healthcare that's cross border. So now I'm not only dealing with one system, I am dealing with the system with various countries, nations, right, which is different in many ways, and using technology which is not fully understood yet and just running after it is always a fear. So we definitely try to put the safeguard: who is responsible for what, who has the access to what part of the patient data and all that thing. So these are the few things that I constantly in our organization we do on time to time on a constant basis. But yes, there is a fear in my heart is where we're too much running faster and all is in competition to do who can do the bigger, but let's do in the competition who can do better.